them together, and it does make everybody feel old when you think it has been 20 years since they won the Super Bowl together. But, Willie, you remember playing against those guys, and not to bring up...
say old and then say, well, Willie, you remember playing.
Yeah, and I am going to bring up old news.
Great host.
You were 0-3 against the Broncos. What made them so tough?
I wasn't 0-3. We beat the Broncos. But I hated to see those two together.
When those two were playing.
I hated to see those two together. Elway, first of all, I mean, this guy, we talk about a dual threat, a guy who can do it all. He had a rifle as an arm. And you're showing TD, and I'm talking about Elway, but this guy, Elway, was one of the smartest, one of the strongest, one of the guys that could do a lot. His arm when we talked in game plan, we tried to find negative things to say about. You couldn't.
Wasn't much.
Yeah.
Not much. And then when they added TD, that's when the Super Bowl, the run started. And TD, the vision, the strength, you couldn't on tackle a guy. That one move and get downhill, those linemen rolling at your knees and cutting you and getting low. TD was one of those backs where you couldn't figure out exactly how to get at him, how to tackle him, because he was strong enough to run you over. Not me, of course. I had to throw that in there, TD. You know I love you. But he had speed. He had that breakaway speed. He had great vision. He had great balance. And once he got going, man, those two, that combination, man, they were deadly.
Well, I mean, obviously both of these guys were unique individuals, and congratulations, TD, all of our Hall of Famers. But TD definitely resonated with me. A guy who you saw on special teams, you saw him go down there making
That's how he started.
Yeah, that's how he started. That's how I started. What he did was he bought himself time to be the starter. So by playing special teams, you bought yourself enough time for injuries to happen, for what else to happen, for you to get on the field and get the ball. And I remember just watching every time. Like, I was like, are they planning for him to put his foot in the ground and just go?
That was it.
There was no hole there, but he would
it.
still do it, and it would just open up. Congratulations again, TD.
Yep.
Congratulations. And Willie's not old. He was only 10 years old during those 3 games when he faced them. So if you do the math, he's only 30. I don't know.
25.
Next on Training Camp Prime Time, we head to the Great Northwest. We're on the field with Russell Wilson and the Seahawks after the break. By Mitsubishi Motors, Amber Theo Harris. We're getting ready to eat some nectarines here in the 3rd hour of Primetime Training Camp. Our crew has fresh fruit for us. I mean, football is back, you guys.
Yes.
Michael Robinson and Willie McGinnis here with us. And guess who else is probably with us right at this hour?
What was that?
One of our favorite Cowboys?
One of our favorite Cowboys,
Yeah.
probably. He's now our favorite one.
He
Des
is our
Bryant.
favorite guy.
Yeah.
Check it out.
What's your favorite thing to watch during these preseason games, assuming
Man, just football, football. I know everybody's watching. I like how NFL Network, they got it tuned in to all of the camps, I swear right now, you go in my room, my TV is on NFL Network. It stays on NFL Network. I like to see what's going on around the league. I just think it's cool, I got a lot of friends and I respect a lot of guys around the league. I just like watching that stuff.
Hey, we like watching you, Des.
Yes.
Hit us up. Tweet us, call in. We'd love to have you on the show anytime.
Holla at me, dog.
And you can best believe our cameras will stay on the Cowboys and you, Dan, because you're one of the best players in the league. And don't forget the jump man's size 15.
12.
Send them over.
Dan.
12. Just send them to the network.
I'm
Say
a
Mike
five
Rock.
and kids over here.
Keep watching us, Dan.
Why do I picture
Love
Des
you,
Bryant
dog.
right now in his dorm room in Oxnard, like with the air conditioning on like 60 and he's eating Chinese food and just watching NFL
right
Network?
now, right now,
Craving
he in the
Chinese
meeting.
food because you
I
keep
am.
talking about
I keep
food.
bringing it up.
He's probably in meetings
Can we
right now.
please feed Amber so we can continue this last hour on the show, please?
All right. I won't get hangry, I promise. And you know why? Because we're going out to the Seahawks. And I love
That was
watching the
smooth. I
Seahawks
like that.
in
That was
Renton, Washington. Checking them out on the field. And, this is a team that had a tumultuous offseason. There was rumors about Russell Wilson and his leadership. Is Richard Sherman on the trade block or not? But you can't deny that this is a team that if all things go right, these are going to be contenders.
Yeah, I mean, let me tell you something. Russell Wilson, I hope people aren't questioning this guy's leadership, this guy's commitment. This is a superstar quarterback. He is a franchise quarterback. He is the undisputed leader of the Seattle Seahawks. Let's leave it right there first, okay? Second of all, that running back competition. That's what I'm excited about. That's what I'm excited to see. You have Eddie Lacy.
I can see his muscles.
You see him dancing? You see him? He's dancing, man. You know what I mean? He's happy. My only thing is late in the season in Seattle, The weather isn't always hot like it is right now. But with that weight staying off, you have C.J. Prosise, in the backfield, third down back, another guy who can play all downs. You have Thomas Ross. So this backfield right now is highly competitive, and they have to get back to running the football, and that includes running Russell Wilson, which they should be able to do because he's healthy.
They will run the football, and I like the receivers they have on the outside. Some stars out there, some guys, some great leaders. Doug Baldwin. Tyler Lockett is going to be I think he's still going to get better and better. He's been developing as one of the better guys.
I hope he comes back from that injury, man.
That was Jermaine Kearse. We saw a lot from Paul last year, Paul Richardson. But, you talk about leadership, and I look at the Seattle Seahawks. I played for Pete Carroll. I understand the type of personalities that he has on that team and in that locker room. You have a lot of leaders across the board. You have a lot of guys that speak their opinion, and he allows that in that environment, but they also hold each other accountable. Like when you're not working as hard, when you don't do something that they don't approve of, you're not supposed to have thin skin in that locker room. I know a bunch of those guys. I know how Richard thinks. I talked to Richard, Bennett, and some of those other guys on the defensive side. They hold each other accountable. They also respect each other, Mike. But don't think you're going to come in there and divide that locker room. Whatever's going on in that locker room, and I've been in a locker room just like the same. We're going to handle it in-house. We're going to make sure everybody stays out of it. But if you got something that we have an issue with, we definitely going to address that. One way or the other, we're going to address that, and we're going to hold each other accountable. And I think that's why this team has been so good over the last 5 to 6, 7 years.
Yeah, man.
Is because you have playmakers, you have guys with chips on their shoulders, and you're allowed in that environment to be yourself.
And I think also wins remedy all of this talk of all season.
Yeah, true.
You start winning some games, you go on a 3 or 4 game winning streak, you start running the football with some authority, your defense starts shutting people out like they were doing last year, ever since Pete's been in the league, right? Then all of this talk goes away. No more talk about Russell having some leadership issues. We're
talking like they wasn't in the playoffs. They wasn't in the divisional game, in the divisional playoff game last year.
I think just they've set the bar so high. Yep. They've set the bar so high. I mean, this has been the #1 defense in the league since 2011. I mean, that's a statement right there.
They were 5th last year, total defense.
I'm talking about since 2011.
Oh, okay. Since 2011.
In its totality.
Yeah. Sorry. The smell of these egg rolls just got to me.
Stay in your lane, Amber. Stay in your lane.
LeVar, you don't want to ball with me, LeVar. You do not want to ball with me. All right. One thing about the Seattle Seahawks is you always have to start with step one. Can you win your division? And when you look around that division, you have to say the answer is yes.
Yeah, they can win the division. You obviously have Arizona Cardinals who, if they can get their quarterback, straight, Carson Palmer, and be consistent late in the season, they can make some noise. I think the San Francisco 49ers are going to be a lot better than people give them credit for. So you look at the possibility of who's going to win the division. I think here early you have to say that it's the Seattle Seahawks. But, Willie, you know it just as well as I do. The games still have to be played.
Yeah, but I'm going to say it's the Seattle Seahawks, and I believe until somebody goes out and consistently beats them and wins the division, they're the king of the division.
Let me ask you a question, Willie. You see Tom Cable? That's his group right there.
Yep.
Why isn't that guy head coach?
You know what? I'm not sure, man, because he does magic with the pieces that they give him, and that's been the concern. If there is a concern or something to nitpick at about Seattle, it's the offensive line. They have so many guys switching positions, so many players in and out of that rotation. And if you talk about Russell early on getting hit a lot, and the pressure and him having to scramble, and not being able to set his feet, it's been because of that offensive line. But he's done a great job with the pieces that they give him.
Yes, he has. But I think the reason why the pieces that he gets sometimes are a little funky, you know what I mean, is because there's only one little pot. A great GM told me this one time. There's only a certain pot of money. We have one of the highest paid quarterbacks. We have some of the highest paid secondary guys. We have some of the highest paid linebackers. We have one of the highest paid tight ends. I mean, there's only but so much money to go around, so the offensive line seems to take, the brunt of not having those resources available to get quality offensive linemen. So they have to draft them, have to make them young, have to deal with guys that don't have a lot of experience.
I like the guy they got last year, Fetty, and I know they're going to get better, and they got some new pieces.
He mean.
Running the football will help take care of Russell Wilson, too.
All right, Seattle Seahawks once again expected to be contenders there in the NFC. Now let's head to Dallas, Oxnard, California.
Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys have a game in 4 days. They are on the field, although I don't know if Dak or Dez are going to play. They are on the field in Canton for the Hall of Fame game against the Cardinals coming up next Thursday. In advance of that game, we're going to take you live now on Inside Training Camp Live, presented to you by Mitsubishi Motors, to Oxnard, California, where Steve Weich joins us on ITC Live. I'm Andrew Siciliano. I am here in Pittsburgh. More on the Steelers coming up shortly. Let's talk about the quarterback we saw, though, there, Steve, in Dak Prescott. Do they want him to maybe cut it loose a little bit more this year? Do they want him to take more shots down the field? What are they saying?
Andrew, that really does seem like it's going to be the case, that they want him to be a little bit more aggressive, and what Dak Prescott referred to today as risk versus reward types of throws. And yesterday in practice, he threw an interception, which he said was a risk versus reward attempt, and it was a bad risk because it got picked off. He threw another interception, but he said that was just a great play by the defense. But they are clearly trying to open up the playbook now. We've heard for months now other teams have film on Dak Prescott, so they're going to probably try to change up some things defensively. So Dallas has to be more aggressive. And Andrew, our research department just gave me this great stat, okay? On throws of 20 yards or less, Dak's passer rating was 113 in that range. On 30 yards or more, it dropped down to 73.4. So they're really trying to do some things to get the ball downfield a little bit more. We know last year Dak was learning the offense kind of on the fly. Everything went smoothly, but they've opened up the playbook. They want him to be a little bit more aggressive. And to that point, Dak said that right now he's starting to diagnose defenses and things they're trying to do to him much earlier than he did at any point last year. Now, albeit that is against his defense, but he said he's also realizing what checks and progressions to go through much sooner than he has before. So he really feels that the year of experience he gathered last year is going to help him in every aspect, including those risk versus reward throws.
And a little perspective, Steve, on that stat you just gave us from our research department about those downfield throws. That passer rating was 21st among quarterbacks. So you say, 74, what does that mean? Well, it means there were 20 quarterbacks better than him at putting the ball downfield. Now, through all of that, taking risks, Steve, they also, and here's the dichotomy of it, they also want to get Zeke into the passing game more. So how do you balance that?
Oh, this could be problematic right here for some of the things they're talking about, Andrew. And I say problematic for defenses. Dak Prescott said that Ezekiel Elliott could have more receptions on not having to play as many plays, basically saying he could become more of a receiving target. And some things you've seen out here in training camp is they're moving him around. They're moving him to the slot. They're moving him wide. Now, last year, Ezekiel Elliott had 32 catches, 1 receiving touchdown. But now they are trying to get him in space. And one thing he said, Dak Prescott said, is can you imagine Ezekiel Elliott getting the ball in space with defensive backs who don't want that contact? And head coach Jason Garrett also said they're going to be moving him around to try to get some of those matchups and to really put an exclamation point on things, Andrew. Dak Prescott said, I can throw a 14-yard dig route to Dez Bryant, but then I can also throw a check down to Zeke Elliott and get the same result.
Yeah, they're both good results also, by the way. I just can't wait to see him in the slot. Zeke Elliott in the slot, potentially. I'll sign up to watch that one. Steve Weich there with the Cowboys in Oxnard, 4 days away from the first of their 5 preseason games. Thank you, Steve. Coming up, we're heading back to New Orleans. Adrian Peterson has a new home. He talks about that new home with our Marshall Fawn. There's visual proof they spoke. We'll play it for you. Not just show it to you on the Saints Twitter feed. Straight ahead on Inside Training Camp Live.